Hi everyone, I'm Jerry Ford. Welcome to my studio and welcome to the June edition of the Mug Rug of the Month Club. And this month we're honoring our fathers and grandfathers and fathers-in-laws and brothers and cousins and friends with a really wonderful mug rug. It's oval shaped, so it's a little different than what we've done before, and this is all strictly embroidery. It's got a little bit of quilting that's done in the machine, but otherwise this is a very simple design. So let's get started. For this project you're going to need a 5x7 frame or larger hoop, and I'm going to use a tearaway stabilizer. You could use that, or else you could use a no-show mesh, which is a really lightweight stabilizer. However, this design has got about 16,000 stitches, and lightweight stabilizer and tearaways are only good for up to 8,000 stitches. So I'm going to have an extra piece of stabilizer to float underneath the design later on in the stitching process. Okay. Now because this is rather stitch intensive, I like to use T-pins, and I like to put them in the sides. So if you take your T-pins and you just simply, you don't have to get them all the way through. You just want to sort of put them about 2 inches apart, especially on the sides. What this will do is this will help keep the stabilizer and the fabric from drawing in with all the stitching, and it gives you a better stitch out. And I'll put it on both sides. You just sort of pierce the stabilizer, and that's it. Okay, that should be enough. That'll help. If it draws in, that's going to keep it from pulling from the outside. For the fabric, I'm going to use just a plain white piece of cotton. You can use any color you like. I like to spray Terreal Magic on here, and what it does is it makes it really stiff, and it also helps give it some stabilization so it's less likely to pucker. Then I have 2 other pieces, and this one is about 6 inches by 9 inches. And you want 2 other pieces 6 inches by 9 inches that you're going to fold in half and press crisply. That's for the back. Okay, for the threads, of course, you're going to use embroidery bobbin thread in the bobbin, and I'm just selecting 2 colors. Okay, and lastly, you're going to need about a 6 inch by 9 inch piece of batting, or Insulbrite, whichever you like. And I've put the hoop into the machine. I brought my design up on to the screen, and I'm going to select it. This design is basically all stitching. So this one doesn't have a whole lot of, there's no applique, there's no piecing. So this is a fairly simple design and takes about 30 minutes to stitch out at 700 stitches per minute. Okay, so I've gone to embroidery, and the first color stop is going to show you the placement for the batting. Okay, I put white thread in my machine simply because I don't want the thread to show through the seam when I'm done. Okay, the second color stop, I'm going to place the batting on top of the stabilizer and make sure that it covers all of the stitching. Okay. Next one, we'll tack down the batting. Now I'm going to take the hoop off of the machine, but I'm not going to remove the fabric from the hoop. And I'm going to trim the batting out from outside the seam allowances. It helps to have a pair of curved embroidery scissors to do that. Makes it go a lot smoother. I'm changing my needle thread to red. Then I'm going to place my fabric, my main fabric, on top so that it covers all of the stitching by at least a ½ inch around. Okay, then I'm going to do the third color stop, which is going to do the quilting on the mug rug, as well as secure the base fabric. the fourth color stop, I'm going to put blue thread in my needle. Color stop number 4 is going to write the word dad and put in the tie. And I'm also going to watch my counter. As soon as I hit about 8,000 stitches, probably about the time it's done writing the word dad, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to float another piece of stabilizer under here. Actually, this is taking a little bit longer than I would like, and I don't want to bore you by just watching stitching. We've all seen it before. So I'm going to go ahead and finish stitching this off camera, and then I will be back as soon as I'm ready to float the stabilizer. I'm about halfway through. I'm about 8,100 stitches, and so therefore I'm going to go ahead and break thread. And it's at a stopping point. I didn't want to, it's hitting at about 8,400 stitches. I didn't want to stop in the middle here, simply because of the fact that I didn't want to break up the flow of the satin stitch or the fill stitch on the lettering. So it's getting ready to stitch the necktie part. So I'm taking my piece of stabilizer, and this has got to be a tearaway, and I'm just going to simply place it underneath and then continue stitching. And now it's going to do the necktie portion. That way, if I have a little break, it's no big deal. It's just an outline. Okay, and I will be back when it's done stitching the necktie, and then we'll change colors. I had planned on switching to just plain regular red thread, but I haven't. I had this Madeira metallic thread, so I think I'll try it out. I haven't used it before, so we shall see. So I have switched to a metallic needle, and I'm slowing my machine down because metallic thread has got a lot of stretch to it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the tension. So on this machine, I'm going to go to this icon right here. It looks like a pair of scissors. And I'm going to lower the tension to about 3.4. Okay, I am also going to slow down my machine, and then I'm going to use the settings page, which looks like this piece of paper. And I'm going to slow it down to 350 stitches per minute. And let's stitch this. I figured it need a little bit of bling. So instead of using silver, you could use silver for this part, or gold, or black. I thought the silver was a little bit washed out, which I originally planned to do it in silver. Actually, it's stitching very, very nicely, so I'm going to finish stitching this off camera. Actually, it stitched very well. I didn't think I was going to like it. But actually Madeira thread stitched very nicely. I don't see any gaps, I don't see any shredding, and it was virtually trouble-free. So I haven't used the Madeira before, but I think I'll be using it more often. It's more of a sparkly thread rather than a full metallic thread, and that could be why it stitched so well, but I like it because it's not overly metallic, so I think I like it. And also notice the tie. I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see it on your stitch out. Has got a texture to it, so I used a texture fill for the tie. All right, so now I'm going to switch out the needle. I'm going to go ahead and put white thread in the needle, and I'm going to return my speed back to normal. All right, now for the last stitch, I return my tension back to 4 and I put my speed back down to 350. So now I'm going to take these folded pieces, and with the fold side on the inside, I want to cover the outside by about 1/2 inch. And then this side here, about 1/2 inch. A little more. Okay. And you can tape these in place with some painter's tape. If you have a baby lock or a brother, it's probably not necessary. Okay, I'm going to return this to the machine. And now it's going to stitch the last tack down where it's going to sew the seams together. Okay, so here we go. Now, you have to be careful here. All right, I'm going to stop. I am stopping it just as it goes right here over the join. And they're just overlapped by about 1 inch. This one isn't touching at all, actually, so this should be fine. And I'm not using the painter's tape. Just going to hold it and stop it when it gets close. Okay, as soon as it gets close, then I can monitor whether that's going to catch. What I don't want to happen is I don't want the foot to catch on the fabric and end up with a big mess. Okay, it's all finished. So I'm going to take the hoop off the machine and take the fabric out of the hoop, and we're all done. I'm going to remove the T-pins and take the fabric out of the hoop. Pop it out. And I'm going to tear away this stabilizer first, this little short one. Tear as much or as little out of it as you like. And then tear it away from the outside. Always pull stabilizer towards the stitching, not away, because you don't want to pull the stitches out. Trim it about 1/4 inch away. Or if you have a pair of pinking shears, you can use that. That actually works really well. Well, if they were sharp, they'd work really well. If not, just take a pair of scissors on the curves and just give it little cuts about every 1/2 inch. You don't want to cut through the stitches. Okay, from here I'm going to turn it. And sometimes it helps to use a point turner to just turn it right sides out. Get a nice crisp edge. Okay, and I'm going to give it a nice pressing with steam. I'm going to start on the back. Make sure, and I'm using steam because I want it to be nice and flat. Okay, and then on this side, I'll try not to press except for on the edges on this side, because I don't want to squash the thread on the embroidery. If you don't have the, that's why I like the woolen pad. If you don't have a woolen pad, then you can just press on top of a nice thick towel. You don't have to stitch this closed. It's fine. It's not going to bother anything if it's open. You can hand stitch it, or you can just put in a strip of Steam-A-Seam or some kind of fusible web to fuse that closed if you like. And there you've got a really, really nice mug rug for Dad. Okay, that's it for this month. Let me know what you think. Send any questions or comments to me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com. And thank you so much for watching. Until next month. Bye.